On Prime Cuts number 22, March 19th, 2018 was a historic day for the cigar industry as Rocky Patel was a guest on Tucker Carlson Tonight. I'll break it down on what I think was a great day for the cigar industry. Plus, the Laguna Champagne Bar has closed in Las Vegas, and I'll recap what I saw firsthand. And this edition of Prime Cuts, as always, is sponsored by Lane Coffee. Lane Coffee is for those who actually care about the coffee they drink. Just like cigars, there is quality versus quantity, and both have their place. But Lane Coffee believes in quality. Roasted fresh in individual batches using 100% specialty coffee from responsible sources. Visit www.lanecoffee to learn more. Well, welcome everybody. I don't know if this is actually going to work because I'm not in the Sereno Cigar Company studios. I'm not using my microphone or camera tonight. I am in a remote location tonight, bringing to you a edition of Prime Cuts number 22, a late night version of this. And it never fails when I have to travel for other reasons. Things happen in the cigar industry. And as I was in some meetings today, got some word that we were going to have Mr. Rocky Patel on Tucker Carlson Tonight. Thank goodness for the ability to access DirecTV through a mobile device, because I actually wasn't even in the best place. But I actually did get to see this with a few, I would say, non-cigar people, which was kind of an interesting thing. And the best way to put it is to recap this. We can Monday morning quarterback on a lot of things, but there's not a lot I could say that went wrong. I mean, everything went real positive as far as Rocky Patel's appearance on Tucker Carlson Tonight. And it was an exciting day. And I think there were a lot of positives that I took in addition to what, I've seen and heard reactions. So I had to actually go back and watch this once I got done with my business for the day, kind of digest it a little more. And then I kind of went and gauged the social media reaction to this. And again, I just think it was a very positive day for a lot of reasons. I think if there's one thing we can really say is the messaging, that the CRA, the IPCPR, CAA, that they've been putting in Washington for a long time. Obviously, it takes a long time. I've talked to a lot of folks, and I've talked to Glenn Loop. I've talked to other people in the industry, and it's a process, as we've been told, and it takes a while to get to the point we're at. And I've been very open on saying, when the FDA went back and decided to reopen the case for regulating premium cigars, it was because of those efforts, and we're very, very grateful for that. But tonight wasn't for the hardcore, like I'd say, cigar Coop users. What you heard on Tucker Carlson Tonight wasn't anything new. But what the difference was is this was taken to an audience that we haven't seen before. Namely, this was taken to the mainstream audience. And it was a very important message because most of the people probably tune into Tucker Carlson Tonight probably have no clue of what we talk about on Cigar Coop, what you read about on social media. So it was a big day to get that message out. And from what I kind of was able to follow, I think everyone was very much behind Rocky Patel to deliver that message. And what was really encouraging is in this era of, I'd say, there's been some infighting. There's no other way around it. I saw everyone from Carlito Fuente to some of the small boutiques, and it was all together tonight. The whole industry kind of got together and just really got behind Rocky Patel, and it was really, really good to see that. And I think that was something that was really, from an industry standpoint, if we saw that, it was great. Now, I wasn't expecting Rocky Patel to be on there for an hour. When I heard it, I was hoping maybe they'd get 15 minutes, but I knew that was going to be optimistic. As far as how it went, they had a segment that was under 5 minutes at the end. You got to start somewhere, and I think that was a real positive place to start and get that message. And basically, Rocky Patel in the segment. I think he had, when I timed it out a little while ago, he had about 3 minutes and 45 seconds to basically give his case to a nationwide audience on what's going on in the cigar industry. And he did a really, really good job with that. I don't think we could have asked for a better job as far as that went. Very positive, and it was something that was really needed. And I think Rocky hit all the points that we've talked about, that you've heard about if you follow the cigar industry. He got those points. It was concise. It was passionate. You could see that Tucker Carlson was definitely engaged on this. And I at some point I got to hear the whole backstory of how this came to be. But it was, Rocky hit all the points that you wanted to hit. He talked about the arbitrary and capricious nature of the FDA regulations. He talked about how Congress never intended to regulate premium cigars. It was really meant to kind of regulate smokeless tobacco and cigarettes. He hit the point about the one-size-fits-all approach, which I think was key. He also made a point of saying how the FDA didn't take the time to understand the premium cigar business. Again, and I kind of watched Tucker Carlson's body language through this, and I could see it was. I'm sure he was briefed beforehand, but I could see, reading the body language, he was like, "You got to be kidding me on this, right?" Rocky talked about the family business that the cigar industry is, the cottage-based industry piece. He talked about how it's not an addictive thing. A lot of cigars, he made the point of saying the average cigar smoker has one cigar a month on this. He hit the point about how it's a luxury item when we're talking about premium handmade cigars. He compared it to a wine. He compared it to a scotch. He made the point how this is not marketed to children. Made that point very clear. He talked about the seed to store approach. How a tobacco seedling takes 4 to 5 years, before that piece of tobacco is fermented, cured, and aged, and rolled into a cigar, packaged up, and sent to the stores. He talked about basically how the regulations were austere and severe, basically implementing a de facto prohibition in there. And he used those words, de facto prohibition, in there. He talked about how 70% of the manufacturers could go under, 50% of the retailers could go under. He hit the point about the warning labels. He did mention the legislative bills as well as the omnibus. And he also did mention the lawsuit. So, 3 minutes and 45 seconds to get that message across. I think it was really good. And it's a starting point. Hitting mainstream media is something I've been wanting to see. I know it's something that's not as easy to do. And the cigar industry got to that point yesterday, where that messaging was put on Tucker Carlson Tonight. There was a little bit of politics in there, but I don't think the politics were unfair in terms of what was put there. What was said was accurate. These regulations were put in by the Obama administration, and now the Trump administration has inherited this. And because the Trump administration inherited this, Tucker seemed a little, well, why can't they just undo it? So he even seemed a little perplexed on what was going on there as well. But, again, Rocky also made the point that he thinks that President Trump may not even be aware of this. So, which is something I think a lot of us knew. So I think everyone knew going in, that if you were a cigar person, he was going to hit those points. I don't think there were expectations by the industry or the hardcore cigar enthusiasts as far as I don't think they were expecting anything different. I think everyone knew that those few minutes he had on Tucker Carlson Tonight were going to be to drive that message to an audience that is beyond us tonight, beyond the social media audience, beyond our podcasts, beyond some of the radio shows. And I think he did a really good job. I think this was a great, it's not a win, but it's an important step, because I think mainstream media for the first time, and if you watched the screen, and I'm sure you've seen the interview by now if you're watching this, and if you haven't, it's all over social media. I have it embedded on an article on Cigar Coop as well. There's kind of a background graphic that says "War on Cigars," which I kind of liked it. I kind of like to see that. It got us, I think the good thing is Rocky did a good enough job where he can be back on maybe a Tucker Carlson or another show. I'd love to see Rocky go on one of the other newscasts, like an MSNBC. I'd love to see him kind of battle, kind of show how he can battle. I think there's opportunities to follow, and I think it's a day we can feel good because that message got out to a bigger audience. And I think it's a first step in the process, and I think it was a great job by this. I was with a few non-cigar people actually, and I had to put this on, and they kind of were like, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, really." And they said, as Rocky was kind of going through these points, he was going through them in rapid fire, but it didn't seem like he was only talking for 3 minutes and 45 seconds. And if you kind of minus out Tucker Carlson's questions, I mean, he only went about 3 minutes. So, but again, it seemed like it had the feeling for me, even though he was going through these in rapid fire, I felt he was just nailing these points, and he was just, the delivery was spot on. It was great. As I'm watching the graphic, I see, they're showing some footage of people smoking. And it was great to see a Casa Fernandez cigar being lit up. I did let Terrence Riley know who did. If you saw Terrence Riley post that picture, it was my picture I sent him, by the way. But I thought it was good. I thought it was good to see a Casa Fernandez cigar. So I can't Monday morning quarterback a lot here because I think it was a positive day overall for the industry here. And afterwards I saw people starting to put some awareness up about the surveys and excuse not the surveys, it's late, the petitions, which the petitions are a necessary evil. There are mechanisms to communicate to Congress. It's important. So I think it created some awareness back in the cigar community. I'd like to see some of these cigar manufacturers now go out to the stores, have their reps go out to the stores and have them sign the petition. Would even be a better step. So if you're one of the people who shared that, tell your reps tomorrow to go ahead and do that. I know I'm going to try to talk to a few people to do that as well. So, again, I just thought positive day for the cigar industry, positive, a good message, presented really, really well. I think everyone was behind Rocky Patel today. I think everyone was behind the industry today. It was good. Like I said, it was really good to see this kind of the industry come together today. It has been a while, I think, and we came together real good today. I wish I could have actually, not been, had other things going on, unfortunately, so it was a little difficult but I did go back and watch the replay after and recap it as well. So great job by Rocky Patel. Glenn Loop was there as well. Tremendous job here. I can't find any fault here. I think it was, you have to look at this and say the message was across. Now, hopefully we see more messaging like this. And more opportunity. Maybe that day will come. We'll have a 60-minute segment on one of these. But I think it's a process, and I think it was a good thing to happen here. So, again, great job. I think that's all to say, and we just got to keep the fight up there. So, good job, and I'm sure I'll have some more thoughts. I'll be talking to the rest of the primetime team to get their thoughts as well on it. But I was satisfied. I was very, very satisfied. Said it was just a day we can kind of look and say the messaging got across to an audience that we probably haven't had before. And hopefully some people are looking at this and saying what's going on here. Anyway, Will Cooper, not in the Sereno Cigar Company studios, in a remote location tonight, bringing to you Prime Cuts number 6. I don't even know if this is coming over real well. I'm not working with my normal setup here, but I thought it was an important enough day to do a Prime Cuts and kind of talk about tonight, because I think it was historic. Now, the other piece of information that I kind of, I actually was in Las Vegas, and, Las Vegas is the home of the IPCPR, and we've had some great, IPCPR conventions. I was counting the number of IPCPR conventions. I believe I've been to 5 here. And I was looking at the years I've went, and it was 2011, 2013, 2014, 2016, 2017. So that's 5 IPCPR conventions. And, during the IPCPR convention and trade show, for 4 of those years, it was at the Sands Expo Center, and then last year it moved to the Las Vegas Convention Center. While it was at the Sands Expo Center, it the hub, and I like to say for all practical purposes, the hub of the cigar industry was in uh, the Sands Expo Center, attached to the Venetian and Palazzo hotels. And there at night there were areas where the industry would congregate, and there were these two bars which are called the circle bars. One is in the Venetian, and I believe it's called the Bellini Bar, and it's a circular bar where people sit around. And the other one's this one called the Laguna Champagne Bar, which also has a circular type of bar, but it has more of a cigar lounge type feel. There's tables, there's couches, and over the years, that Laguna Champagne Bar slowly started to build up, and at night it became that epicenter of the cigar industry. It was a great it was kind of great to see that. The last by 2016, that night it would spill over to the casino floor. It was packed, and everyone who was everyone would be at that Laguna Champagne Bar for at one time or another during the week. It seemed like it was a popular place. Last year, when the convention moved to the Las Vegas Convention Center, I did go back to the Laguna Champagne Bar, and it was still pretty crowded. And I think that had to do with some people still kept their reservations at the Venetian and Palazzo. But nonetheless, it was a place that people still congregated. It was just a good place to go to. Out in Las Vegas, decided to go look for a place to grab a cigar, and someone may have wanted a beverage that night. And I suggested, hey, why don't we? I'm not too far away. Let's go over. Let's go over to the Palazzo. There's this great bar in the Palazzo. It's the Laguna Champagne Bar. It shouldn't be that crowded. It's comfortable. Probably a little more quieter. It's not gonna have the hustle bustle of the cigar trade show. So we kind of walked through the Venetian, and then there's this like retail, I want to say atrium or corridor you go to that connects you into the Palazzo. And as I walked into the Palazzo, my eyes kind of just started playing tricks on me because the lighting just seemed very different. Palazzo had a little more of its intimate feel. It was much brighter than I remember. And as I'm walking in, I'm now coming in from that corridor, from the Venetian. I noticed the Davidoff kiosk had moved. Okay, the Davidoff kiosk moved. Now, normally a lot of us would come in through the front entrance of the Palazzo, or come in from the elevators, which was like perpendicular to the way we were coming in. And I'm walking around, and I realized the Davidoff kiosk had moved, and I can't find the Laguna Champagne Bar, right? But and then as I start walking around, I start seeing some construction going on, and I start to begin to wonder. Finally, I'm able to kind of get my grounding where I am, and I kind of do another loop, and I'm like, well, maybe they moved the Champagne Bar. So being the guy, I'm not going to ask for directions. I start wandering around with the people. Start wandering around trying to find this thing. Well, that ain't working, right? So finally, I go ask a few people what happened, and I come to learn the bar, it was a casualty of the renovation. The bar was a casualty there. So the Laguna Champagne Bar was gone, and I was just blown away by this. I and I said, "Wow." So I'm just like, well, obviously this isn't gonna work. We ended up going to another place to go smoke for a while. After that night was over, I come back in and I shot a video because I said, people aren't going no one knows this. I'm like, let me see if people knew it. Well, people were shocked on this. The reaction was like so shocking. I put something out on Cigar Coop late last night, early this morning, and that started to get a lot of attention. And I'm like, and then my phone starts ringing, asking me if this is true. I'm like, yeah, it's true. Um, I had, and I also did some reconnaissance when I went back there after I shot the video. I asked a few more people what was happening, and now that Laguna Champagne Bar was the casino floor bar, and they're looking to build another casino floor bar, but I couldn't get details on what that's going to look like. Is it going to have the same vibe as the Champagne Bar? I don't, that was something I could not be told. Will it be ready by IPCPR? That's something I don't know. Um, I did ask about smoking policy at the Palazzo. They're not really changing any of the smoking policies on the casino floor, from what I've been told. It's a renovation that's being done, so you can still smoke, and there's still some other bars you can smoke at the Palazzo. But I think the important thing to keep in mind is that Champagne Bar was a 24/7. It kind of had everything we looked for in an industry. It was a central, easy to find location, comfortable location. People just seem to like it. A lot of great memories. So it's gone. Is all I can say, and it's unfortunate. I did a little more research last night. It's only been open about 8.5 years. When I talked to some of the people, I was told the renovation. It was after IPCPR I made the decision to do this massive renovation. Sometime this fall, it was renovated. I was told by one manufacturer that it was out there during the big smoke. So they were there during the big smoke, which was in November. So it must have been sometime after that when it was gutted. I didn't hear any reports out of TPE that it was gutted. So it was a little, like I said, it was a big shocker to me. Um, and the big question I'm starting to ask, well, where do we go smoke? Have you gone? No, I'm not. I haven't had the time to scope out other places, unfortunately. Nor am I gonna, because I do have other business out here. But the cigar industry will find a place to congregate. I can assure you. Maybe it goes back to the Bellini Bar in the Venetian. Maybe it's at one of the other venues. That certainly it will pick up. But we're a resistant industry. We'll find a place, and everything will be hunky dory. But I think there's sentimental value with the Laguna Champagne Bar. I met so many people in the industry for the first time in that area. I can think about who I've met, for the very first time there. And I started going through a list of numerous people I first met there. I've heard of people got offered jobs in the industry in that area. I've even heard of there's some buzz of people losing their jobs as well there. Unfortunate. That was a little lesser but there were a lot of people who actually got jobs in the cigar industry. There were a lot of friendships that were made there. I know that there's numerous friends that I've made in that locale. There's some funny moments that have been there for sure. And it's many people were, the joke was like basically, I'm not a drinker, but I'd be there, and I'd kind of set up court there, just because I liked the place so much. It had a great vibe, and yeah, I drink mostly Diet Cokes or water, but enjoyed very much that place. So there's sentimental value, I think, for if you're like me, I'm a kind of a like I do live in the past, and to see it gone because of a renovation, it's unfortunate. What the future holds, we don't know on that. But like I said, it was interesting because my phone actually was ringing quite a bit, very early. Being out on the West Coast here, so it was very early. The phone was ringing this morning. But so that was a little bit of unfortunate news. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. But like I said, we'll have a trade show here. It'll be a great trade show, and we'll find a place. So it's not the end of the world, but it is getting tougher to smoke out in Vegas. I'll be honest with you, it's tougher to smoke. It's just there's not very good places to smoke. I have scouted a few places where I was tonight, and I'll disclose those at some point, but it didn't. It wasn't the Laguna Champagne Bar was where it was at there. So anyway, Will Cooper wrapping up a little bit of an abbreviated late night version of Prime Cuts. This was number 22. And it's kind of getting late here where I am. And look forward to talking to everybody, or actually next, I'll be doing KMA Talk Radio, the news on Saturday. I'll probably have some more thoughts on the stories we talked about. And then we have two big primetime shows next week, including our big baseball preview show on Tuesday. And then on Thursday we have Master Sensei from Cigar Dojo will be on the regular primetime show. Anyway, Will Cooper over and out. Have a great night, everybody.